Welcome into another episode of 360 Sports. We're here talking baseball today with Jacob, Sophia, Bella. Yeah, I forgot her name. Sorry. We're
we
talking
all just
baseball.
Met.
We're talking baseball today. We got the NLCS and the ALCS in full swing right now, as the two games are done for both series, the Dodgers and Mets. Right now, are currently tied at 1 game apiece. Mets 1 game 2, and the Dodgers 1 game 1, and then the Yankees commanding 2-0 series lead right now. As we enter the headlines, they're up 2-0 after their game last night. We'll start with that one. Jacob, what were your thoughts? Obviously a good game, obviously a nice win. Is Judge back?
I don't know. Hopefully. I mean, he does have a lot. His regular season numbers were a lot better versus Cleveland this year than versus Kansas City. Obviously, he's got a long history of failure in the playoffs. He's got to turn that around. Hopefully, last night was a sign that things are definitely turning around. As for the Yankees, they do seem to be firing on all cylinders. I got a couple of names to talk about later in the show that have really stood out in my opinion, but it's been a great ride as a Yankees fan. Hopefully I can see my first World Series as a fan. I'm not counting the one they won when I was 5, but those are my thoughts on it.
What are your thoughts? The other Yankee fan here.
Well, obviously, Judge isn't great in the postseason right now. That's unfortunate. I will say, though, in the past, over the years he's been in the playoffs, he's had 13 home runs. That's pretty good. Even though his postseason stats aren't the greatest. And obviously the regular season is the greatest with his 58 home runs. He did hit his first home run last night, so that's very good. Hopefully he keeps doing that.
Yeah, that's what you guys need to keep going with that momentum. And then for the Mets, obviously.
Yeah, well, I'll change it. I mean, did watch the Yankee game last night because I was a New York fan. You watch New York regardless. Mm-hmm. And great job to you guys. It'll be nice when we beat you, though, in the Subway Series.
Please.
However, I thought I'm very excited about the Mets win. I got them winning tonight at Citi Field. We're going to take the lead and go 2-1. Once the Mets are hot, they're hot. I'm not really concerned. And now I think it's not going to be easy. I think we're going to Game 7. Like, it's going to be a battle, probably tit for tat. But I'm confident that tonight we're going to get that home, especially Citi Field. New York's there. I'm not worried about it. We even got a win on the road, which is usually not in Mets fashion. So I'm happy about it.
Yeah, Severino on the bump tonight. That'll be a good. I don't even know who's pitching for the Dodgers tonight.
It's TB.
Walker Buehler.
Okay.
Oh, Walker
TB
Buehler right
last
now.
time I
Yeah,
checked.
Walker Buehler. Yeah, so we'll see how that goes. I mean, Severino's had a really good year, a bounce back year. Obviously, disrespected by the Yankees in many regards, as he says. I mean, he talked about it on a podcast earlier this summer about how the Yankees, his former Yankees teammates weren't happy about him, sort of leaving and stuff. And I mean, is there bad blood? You think is that going to be something that boils over if there's a potential?
Let's get there first. I think Severino has a lot of respect for the Yankees. I mean, we were the team that gave him a chance in the major leagues. So, and it was unfortunate to see what happened to him because he had the injury problems and all that last year, 2023, not a good season at all. I'm happy for him. I'm glad to see he's bounced back. So,
yeah, and a lot of good pitching matchups in that one. But another headline we had on here, we kind of touched on it a little bit earlier. But Judge hitting that home run, obviously huge for the Yankees. Stanton's been big and kind of he's been able to hit the home runs in his place. But now, sort of another. Talking about Judge, how will he continue to make these big plays? He's obviously been big in center field. Do you guys think he'll keep this up?
Well, I certainly hope so. The Yankees go when he goes. His batting average is 200 points higher when we win this season. So it all rests on him. It all rests on the captain. He's been talking a lot about how the Yankees need to step up and take the next step. It starts and stops with him. That's it's something I'll be looking forward to going forward.
Yeah, and then do the Guardians even have a chance in this series? You don't think they have a chance?
Oh, come on! You got you can't put teams to bed early in the playoffs. The classic story, 2004, Yankees up 3-0, having just won 19-8 at Fenway Park. They were leading in the 9th inning with the best closer in the world on the mound. And then it all fell apart from there. So you can't put any teams to bed early. I still think Cleveland is very much alive in this series. That being said, I do think the Yankees are going to take it in 6 games.
Well, do you think this game is if they win this game, they'll come back in the series? Is tonight the game they have to win?
Well, it'd be tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night.
And it's. I don't want to presume anything, but I would certainly think so.
I would say the odds are in your favor, especially seeing in the past how teams have started leading off of their series in the championship, and then most teams, about 83.5% of teams, do go on to win that rest. But like you said, you can't, especially both of the Guardians and the Yankees. Like they got there, they got to the ALC championship. So obviously they both have it, and the Guardians could dig themselves out. But if they don't tonight, I could see the Yankees taking it in 5 games.
And the Guardians have the best closer in this series.
Yeah,
they got
to get to him first.
Weaver's played very well in this series. I know you guys are familiar with that. So
they got to get to Class A if they want to use Class A.
Yeah, that's the thing. They got
to get leads.
They have one of the deepest bullpens in baseball. They Stephen Voccio had to use pretty much his whole bullpen this first 2 games. So, and their starting pitching's not good. So that's another thing that kind of works in your favor. Their starting pitching's kind of lackluster right now. They have Tanner Bybee. Alex Cobb was terrible in Game 1. They don't really have. I guess Ben Lively's gonna have to go in Game 3. So I don't know where we go from there. But let's go to the next segment here. We're gonna do a fast forward here and predict some of these series. All right, we did a lot of talking about the series, but we'll first start with the Dodgers or Mets. In this one, whoever wants to go first, their prediction for this series. Anyone have anything, Sophia?
Well, I think that it's going to go to do all 7 games, and then the Mets are going to win Game 7 in LA. I mean, Game 3, 4, and 5 are home for the Mets, so they should go, I think, about 2-1 at home, and then the Dodgers will steal 1, leaving the series going into LA at 3-2. But then I see the Dodgers tying it up in Game 6 because they're a tough team. I mean, you have to take respect. The Mets were the worst team in the league at one point, and now they're going up against the Dodgers, who were the best team in the league at one point. So I'm giving respect to both of them. But it's just a tough team. I mean, they've got this roster that we have to go up against. And the thing about the Mets that gets me every year is that we've done a couple rebrands, but for the most part, our big names have kind of stayed the same with Francisco Lindor, Pete Alonso. Our pitching's moved around a little bit. But just the fact that our consistency hasn't been there the past couple of years, and now those players that we were counting on when drafted or when traded are now stepping up. So every team's got to have a year. So I'm going with Mets on this one.
Yeah, and I think the payroll for the Mets. I saw that the Mets have the highest payroll right now out of all 4 of these teams.
Yeah,
they're paying to win.
Yeah,
payroll doesn't mean anything. I'm speaking from experience as a Yankees fan. Payroll does not mean anything. You got to spend the money, but you got to spend the money wisely.
Yeah. What are your thoughts in this series?
I like the Dodgers in 7 games. Okay. I think hey, I'm not trying to be a hater here, but I'm trying to respect the absolute juggernaut of a lineup the Dodgers have built. Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Will Smith, Max Muncy. Jack Flaherty. It just keeps going down and down. It is the Dodgers definitely are the deepest team remaining.
And we silenced them in Game 2.
And you know what? Hey, you know what? That was a tough game for the Dodgers. They had to start a bullpen game, but I think the Dodgers can bounce back. And personally, I think I'm respecting the Mets here by saying you can even take the Dodgers to 7 games.
I said the same thing. I actually said that the Mets could take this in Game 6, and the series could end as a 4-2 game. I see the Dodgers tying it up tonight. I think they're hungry for that win. Obviously,
first night, Citi Field. Do you think Dodgers are going to tie it up?
You never know.
You never know in any game. But I'm a Mets fan. This is the most biased episode I'm going to have ever.
Listen, the only way they will win tonight is if Francisco Lindor keeps up with his hitting. Severino does not pitch a 4.50 ERA like he has for the last 2 times he's pitched in the postseason, and Mark Vientos just keeps it up with his hitting streak, his RBIs. He's been amazing. Francisco Lindor hitting that grand slam, definitely an MVP candidate at this point. After he came back from his injury, he was on fire. That's pretty rare in MLB industry. And I will say, I'm going to shout out Mark Vientos. So
thank you.
Because he is the youngest rookie in history to hit a grand slam at 24 years old. Rafael,
in the second inning.
Rafael Devers had that, but now it's going to Mark Vientos.
I always love seeing records being taken away from the Red Sox, especially politics.
Especially rookies.
Yeah.
They also have Sean Manaea. He's a beast. He's a pitcher beast. Game 3, he pitched 7 innings with a 1.29 ERA, and he only gave up 3 hits and only 1 run. That's that's pretty close to being perfect.
I'm loving everything you're saying right now.
My friends will love it too.
Yeah.
And in Game 2 against the Dodgers, he had 7 strikeouts, giving up 2 hits and 2 runs in 5 innings. That's crazy to me. So I see the Mets almost, like, I would say 80% going into the World Series.
Thank you. I'll take 80% from a Yankee fan.
I'm going to agree with the two of you, too. I'm going to go with Mets in 7, too. I'm going to go with Mets in 7 like you did because I think,
you, everyone.
honestly, I think it's the power of grimace. I know, I mean, the Mets fan, I think it's the power of grimace. I mean, listen, teams had these things that carry them into the postseason, and it's weird because a lot of it comes down to sort of the luck factor. Because how likely is it that a grand slam gets you a playoff win in like 2 different types of games? I mean, you won a series because of a grand slam against the Phillies, which you weren't supposed to win. And now you're in another series where Mark Vientos is having a postseason no one ever expected him to have.
We weren't supposed to be in the playoffs.
Sean Manaea was not supposed to be a good pitcher at all. He was written off.
The best.
He was written off. He's their ace now. And you have Severino, who has had so many injuries. He was written off. And the bullpen, Edwin Diaz has kind of, found his kind of groove, I would say. Not necessarily 2022 Edwin Diaz, but a groove that kind of helps them because
When he
He's
was demoted,
nerve-wracking,
right?
but he closes us out. He's nerve-wracking, but he can close us out. I'm not.
No, I said that about Clay Holmes, and then Clay Holmes started blowing
Yeah.
games left and right. So
Yeah.
eventually,
So maybe it's a jinx.
eventually he stops bending and starts breaking. So
Yeah.
we'll
My
have to
favorite
see.
part was when Edwin Diaz was demoted at some point during the season.
yeah, that was obviously brutal. But my favorite moment was when Edwin Diaz, it was his brother Alexis, pointed up at the sky for a fly ball against the Pirates. I'm a Pirates fan, so he pointed up at the sky, fly ball is a home run. So
Yeah.
that's a good moment. But let's move on. The Pirates are not in the playoffs, so I'm not going to talk about
This is
them
not your
anymore.
this is not
yeah,
your show
this is
for
not
you
my
today.
show to talk about the Pirates. It never will be. Let's go around the table and now talk about the meaning of the World Series because obviously every team has a new meaning. Obviously every fan has seen a World Series at a certain point. If you're older, you've seen a Guardians World Series. If you're 70 plus, because they won it in 1948. So that's the longest streak. The Yankees, 2009. The Mets, 1986. You got to go back almost 40 years. So that's still quite a while.
Yeah.
And then the Dodgers, I mean, the COVID year, I mean, we could say.
The Yankees Guardians predictions next.
Oh, yeah, we got to go to Yankees
Right.
Guardians. I forgot about that. Yeah, let's do Yankees Guardians. I'm going to go, or wait, Sophia, you
Yes,
first.
I said Yankees in 5. That they're gonna go to the championship, take Cleveland at Cleveland, just close it out. I'm not too. I mean, close it out. Cleveland's gonna get off with that one more win. I can't see them not getting off with a win in this series. I don't see that happening personally. I don't think the Yankees. They're not some super team, but that's my prediction. That's what I'm going with.
I'm going to go Yankees in 6. I'm going to give Cleveland a little more respect. I'm very wary to pop the champagne before it's, as the great Yogi Berra once said, it ain't over till it's over. I think Cleveland takes 2 games at Progressive Field, but I think the Yankees come back home and get it done in Game 6.
I think I'm way too confident for this, but I say Yankees take
Oh,
it 4-0.
If we
Wow.
lose this series, I know who to blame. It's
Oh my God, bias.
It's you.
Well, if Aaron Judge keeps up with his hitting, we'll do good.
Guys, he had
Giancarlo
one home
Stanton
run.
Yeah, that's just
keeps
the start.
up.
That's just the
Keyword.
Yeah.
Giancarlo Stanton on fire right now. We'll get into that later. And the pitching, I mean, it's not doing much, obviously, but like, at least we're stopping them from scoring. Clark Schmidt is actually pitching on Friday.
Tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow. My bad. Pitching tomorrow. I'm a little iffy about him sometimes, but I think this season he's actually pitched pretty well, like besides the injury. And I think we're just gonna take it. I mean, I will say there's a little bit of a chance the Guardians could take it on tomorrow, but overall, Yankees.
Yeah. I don't think the Yankees are a super team, but I think they win in 5. I'm going to be honest. I did not expect Anthony Rizzo to have this good of a series that he's having right now. He's playing very well.
Oh, he had a
Anthony
beautiful
Volpe's
RBI
playing really
yesterday.
well.
Well, you got to
know,
remember,
Alex
Good represent
Rizzo's
from
got
Staten Island,
playoff
New Jersey.
experience
Yeah.
and Cleveland beating experience
Yeah,
in particular.
so-
If you go back to the 2016 World Series, so.
Anthony Rizzo dealing with injuries, but he's been playing well.
Yeah.
Obviously back in postseason form. A lot of your players at the top of the lineup have been playing well too. Gleyber Torres has been hitting well, so
Lead
the
off
hitting
Gleyber.
the hitting's on fire. The first couple innings last night were just on fire. It was just like
Yeah.
it was like a tsunami of hitting for the Yankees.
He's
so
so much better in the postseason than the regular season.
Yeah.
The regular season, I was like, what are you doing? You should
Yeah.
be kicked out.
I think
But
it's. I don't know if it's.
postseason.
I don't know if it's the postseason. I think it's just the fact that he's comfortable in the leadoff role,
Yeah.
and he's got Juan Soto in the lineup
Every
protecting
night
him.
he's hitting an RBI
he's
and a
seeing
home
lot-
run,
He's
like-
seeing a lot more strikes because teams don't want to pitch to Juan Soto and Aaron Judge.
He clearly does
and I
not
think
want to be
Gleyber's
traded.
benefiting from that.
Clearly does
Yep.
not want to be
Yeah.
traded.
I mean, Austin Wells has been attacked. He's struggled a little bit, but
Yeah.
he'll get back on track. I
He's
think
very
maybe
underrated.
Cleveland might win a bullpen game. That's my hot take. They might just win a bullpen game
I don't know
simply
if we're gonna,
because.
I don't know if they're going to have a bullpen game. The Yankees just might circle back to Rodon in Game 5.
Yeah, but
That's
I
what
mean,
I thought,
we'll
but it'd be nice for Yankees to win at home. I mean, it'd be nice
Yeah.
for anyone
Hey,
to
I just
win
wanna
at
win the
home,
series.
But, exactly.
I
It
just want
doesn't
the
matter.
Yankees.
London gets me
series.
so worried.
They're not
I'm
going to throw a
sorry.
game to just win at home, but
yeah.
That
I
makes
mean, it's all you obviously want to win at home, but sometimes winning on the road's better.
Yeah.
And that kind of just make.
Yeah.
like when you
that's
guys,
a big it's
yeah.
a big silencer. I can say
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
Exactly.
Like when Alonso hit the home run, that's a silencer. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That's the type of moments you want. But like I mentioned earlier, we'll go to the what does it mean segment now for each team. You know, the Yankees won their last World Series 2009, like I mentioned. Dodgers 2020. What are your guys' thoughts? Which team? What do you think? Guardians need it more? 1948, long
No.
time. Or you think it's
No,
You
the
think
Mets
it's the
need
Mets?
it the
Yeah.
most. The Mets need it the most. They were the worst team in the league in the beginning of the season. Jorge Lopez was going around saying he's on the worst team in the league,
Yeah, he's true.
having a tantrum on the field, gets kicked off the team. Absolutely not. Mets need it the most. I mean, again, the most biased show I'm gonna have. But we're in like a World Series drought. We need to at least I don't know. I think, though, something you can beat if you're going to say that the Mets don't have the roster like the Dodgers do or the roster or the reputation like the Yankees do, look at that determination. That gets people through to the very end. I mean, having that drive to win and knowing what's on the line and knowing what you're proving for. I mean, every team has to prove themselves every year. But the Yankees and the Dodgers already have a reputation that it's I'm not surprised that they're in these championships. So, yeah, I'm going with the Mets need it the most.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and disagree. I think the Yankees need it the most.
Thank you.
Because,
Thank
and
you.
I'm going to point to one man in particular, and that is John Sterling. He has been the voice of the New York Yankees since 1989. He deserves to go out with one of his iconic ball game over, Yankees win, the Yankees win calls. He has to go out on top. He came back to the booth just for this postseason run. And of course, the Yankees have to prove that they're not playoff chokers, and it's going to be obviously if we win the World Series, that is going to be a huge benefit to the Juan Soto sweepstakes. So there are a lot of things at stake here, but mainly I'm concerned with honoring the career of John Sterling.
Yeah.
I have to go with the Yankees. I mean, the fan base would go insane. Like, I'm from Brooklyn. I will probably witness or see on the news more than a million people marching in celebration. They're also chasing the 28th world title. They have the most titles in history. So
Yes, I'm
that
tired
would
of
be,
seeing it. Tired.
that would be a big deal.
20 of those happened before 1963.
What's crazy?
so.
The season last year.
Yeah.
We're not going to talk about it. But they
Never
ended
happened.
the season with
Never
82 wins. This year in September, they had 82 wins,
Yeah.
and now they end with 94.
Yeah.
Come on, well, you can't get much better than that. I feel like every player right now is just pulling their weight. They're like, okay, we're in the ALCS. We need to win this. Even if we did terrible in some games, we're gonna do good now. Especially Gleyber Torres. I'm gonna keep saying his name.
Yeah. I think, honestly, if I'm looking, I'm going to make a case for both the other teams. I think the Dodgers players, it would mean more for them because the fans, I hate the fans. I don't like the fans. I think
Then
the
why do you
Dodgers
want anything
players,
good for them?
I think it would be better for them because the noise about them winning the COVID year is a lot louder because
I think
people.
it's ridiculous.
Yeah,
I think it's every team had the same circumstance.
Yeah,
that year.
and you
I
hear
think
that
it's
noise a lot.
ridiculous.
That's why I think
Yeah.
the players, it would mean more a lot for them, especially winning it in a normal season. And for the Guardians, I mean, if you have a World Series drought over 60, 70 years, I mean, that's ridiculous. That's something that I mean, we've seen plenty of teams that have never won the World Series, but the Guardians have been in the league. They were formerly the Indians, but they've been in the league since the 1910s. I mean, that's one of the best. That would be one of the best parties in Cleveland ever if they won that World Series. Because I think it was midsummer when they were starting to get really hot when the fans were really into it. And now it's like that, like
Yeah, they made the Major League movie in 1989
Yeah.
because of how
Love that
comically,
movie.
because of how comically funny it would be for Cleveland to win a World
Yeah.
Series, and they still haven't won a World Series 35
Yeah.
years after that movie came out.
And that movie was just like a hit at the
Yeah,
at that fan base. Just
like
go,
they hadn't
"You
even
stink."
they hadn't even made the playoffs since '54, and then
And then they make that movie. I mean, honestly, it was a great movie. Honestly, one of the best
Loved it.
baseball
It's
movies
best baseball
ever.
comedy of all time. I
Yeah.
think it
Oh,
beats,
yeah.
it beats Bull Durham for me.
Yeah, it's one of the best baseball comedies. Arguably one of the best baseball movies too
Yeah.
of all time.
Has a good
And it's-
cast.
Yeah. Even the second one was good. Normally you don't get
Second
that.
one
The
was
second
okay.
one, it wasn't like
Yeah.
the second one wasn't bad. It wasn't that bad. The first one was really good, but yeah. I mean, every team wants it more in their own right way. Every team wants to win the World Series. You guys obviously don't remember the first Yankees World Series,
Let's go Mets.
and then
Let's
Mets
go
have never
Mets.
won in your lifetime,
Let's go
so
Mets.
everyone has
My
their.
friend's probably saying the same thing right now.
Oh, let's go Mets.
And then our next segment, we're going to go to the board. We're going to do our playoff impact players here. We're going to pick 3 players who have had a huge or big impact, whichever you want to say, with big stats for their team or with the teams in the playoffs, and then 1 player who's negatively impacted the playoffs in a big way. So we'll include our reasoning. I'm going to go first here to the board. So I'll do my good players first. We'll see which one comes up first on the board. And okay, so they have all 3 here. So I'm going to go my first one, Kike Hernandez. Listen, the home run celebrations are questionable. I will say the home run celebrations are very questionable when you watch the Dodgers. They're very interesting with how they celebrate their way, but it's fine. It's whatever. Kike Hernandez has proved himself. He hit the home run that put them into the NLCS. He's very. I wouldn't call him a clutch player, but I'd call him a player that people sleep on a lot because he's a player that if they want to win the World Series, Kike Hernandez has to be the number 1 reason why, because the bottom of that lineup is not very good. The top of that lineup is very, very good. So they need a player like Kike Hernandez to step up. And my other one for the Dodgers, Yoshiniba Yamamoto, he has been huge. He is the single reason that they're in the NLCS because of the fact of his performance in Game 5. Everyone was picking the Padres, including myself. I had the Padres winning the series in 5 games, and Yamamoto shut the door down. He shut the door down at home at Dodger Stadium. That's a big win for the Dodgers. That's a big win for the fan base. Obviously, they want to secure another World Series. And my third player, the Lane Train. I am so sad, Lane Thomas, that you did not come to the Pirates. Ben Cherington, I do not like that you didn't get him. Lane Thomas is a clutch hitter. The Phillies could have used him. I know a lot of Phillies fans are watching this too. The Phillies could have really used Lane Thomas. He's a huge player. He's a clutch player. The grand slam he had in Game 5 of the ALDS is one that Cleveland fans, if they end up winning the World Series, will simply never forget. But they're going to forget this guy. They're going to forget him. Austin Hedges, a former Pirate that I absolutely despise. Austin Hedges had 1 home run as a member of the Pittsburgh Pirates, and he pimped it. He threw his bat. He was so excited. He is a player that I don't think anyone will remember in the next 10 years after he retires. But let me tell you, he had 18 home runs 1 year, and he's criminally underrated. No, I'm kidding. He's terrible. He's a very good framer. That's basically the only thing you get from him. He's a career 180 batter all time, so he stinks at hitting. And I don't know why he was even in the starting lineup last night. I mean, you can do better than that. I mean, he had an error in the game, too, in Game 1. So with all the pass balls in Game 1, he also committed an error. So Austin Hedges stinks. These 3 are good, and that's what I have right now.
All right, I am next, according. All right, perfect. We are going to start with Giancarlo Stanton. According to so many articles, he's been named as Mr. October of the new generation. Reggie Jackson's historically been named that, but seems like Stan is named that. His slugging percentage is basically averages every 8 times he's up at bat, he hits, which is second to Babe Ruth in the postseason of all time, which is, insane. He went from a 234 to a 268 batting average all the way to a 368. Come on. He hits 114.3 miles per hour off the crack of the bat with a 439-foot home run. He hit a home run the first game against the Guardians. He's like, what's up? We're going to beat you guys. And, yeah, so Francisco Lindor was my second pick. Not a Mets fan, but I will give him credit. He has been hitting fabulous this whole season. He's an MVP candidate, and he hit a grand slam to end the Phillies game. So that's crazy. And he's probably one of the best hitters next to Mark Vientos on the Mets right now. And for Jack Flaherty, I am a Jack Flaherty fan. So even though he's on the Dodgers, it doesn't matter. He had a perfect pitching game. He had a 0, literally across the board, ERA with one of the games that I forget, sadly. He had 7 strikeouts, and as actually the last game before when he contributed to the 33 consecutive tying scoreless innings of history. So that was the last game before the streak was broken. And he contributed so much to that. He is the best trade pickup deadline. Worded that wrong, it's okay. And we thought he was going to struggle at first, but then he just didn't. He contributed so much to the Dodgers. Tigers, he was amazing. Dodgers, he's amazing. Not so much from this guy this postseason. He had a beautiful regular season, but postseason, he's doing fine. I will admit that he's doing fine. He's hitting, but what's he really doing to impact the team, though? I wonder. I was going to say Pete Alonso at first because he hasn't really done anything. I'm sorry. It's all Francisco Lindor, Mark Vientos this whole season, especially this postseason. I mean, yeah, Pete Alonso hit, cool, but what's he really done that's impactful? Thank you.
I think personally, Ohtani's the locker room leader. That's why I can't really like. I think that one's a little bit crazy. I think it's funny they have Flaherty's Tigers picture up there, considering they made the playoffs. I mean,
I was like, wait.
Jack Flaherty could have been on 2 playoff teams. That's weird. Like you're traded from a non-playoff team to a playoff team, and then they're a playoff team. So you don't see that much, but yeah, that was an interesting list, I'd say. Ohtani was interesting for me. I was the only one that stood out, in my opinion.
I got next, so I'm gonna be picking mine real quick. So everyone's been saying it, everyone's talking about it, Mark Vientos, how could I not pay him homage to the grand slam he hit for the Mets? He's doing great, he's gonna keep it up. Giancarlo Stanton, you gave the praise that he deserves. 13 home runs in 32 games. I mean, Aaron Rodgers isn't giving the Yankees what they want, but at least Giancarlo Stanton is picking it up for you guys and giving some home runs to celebrate. I mean, I hope he doesn't keep it up when there's a Subway Series, and then we got Michael Kopech. Now, I know he's a Dodger reliever, but the Dodgers have that consecutive scoreless innings, and he's a reliever that's been keeping that up for them. I mean, that's something like, even though they're the enemy team right now, I have to pay respect to it, and he's not doing a bad job. Aaron Judge is my red flag, but now that he just went from leading MVP in the regular season to now you're seeing his first homer in the postseason. Now, that's all right. It does not take away from his reputation, obviously. He is still Aaron Judge. And I would be an idiot to say that I don't think he's going to turn it around at least one game. He's going to have a game. He's going to blow it out, and maybe hit a grand slam, home runs, do whatever, and then everyone's going to be praising him again the next day. So just right now, he hasn't been surprising me, but he has this reputation to not be so good in the postseason like everyone says. So what does that really mean for him? Is this really a shock? Not really. But yeah, those are my 3 impactful players, and then Aaron Judge is my red flag.
Okay, so I'm going to go just run down my impactful players real quick, talk about the bullpen aces I promised you earlier in this show. Clay Holmes and Luke Weaver. Now, those two, I got to talk about Clay Holmes because he was the Yankees closer. He was horrible. He got knocked out of the closer role. Ever since that he's been fantastic. He's gotten us out of tight jams. Luke Weaver, the Weave Dog, he's been equally fantastic as the new closer, and he barely made the team out of spring training. So those two, I've just loved watching them. They've rarely given me any reason to sweat this postseason. I hope they continue to do that. The Yankees bullpen as a whole, only two runs allowed. Like that's some elite stuff. As for Stephen Kwan, 500 batting average in the division series. He's continuing to hit well. He's a great postseason hitter. He's always a tough out. I will be scared to face him in the next few games. As for my red flag, Jazz Chisholm Jr. What are you doing on the bases, man? I don't know if he was doing a TikTok dance or something last night on second base, got picked off, cost us a run. We still won the game, and he's got to do it with the bat, too. He's got like a 100 batting average or something, but those are my quick thoughts.
Personally, I think it's got to be because Jazz Chisholm's in the cold. That's what I think. He's wearing
Yeah.
the ski mask. I don't think
He's
he's
used to the
it.
Marlins. He's used to Miami.
He's used to being inside in an air-conditioned stadium. He's outside in the freezing cold. He's probably hoping
a
the Dodgers.
princess.
He's probably hoping the Dodgers win so he can go out to LA in the heat. That's probably
Yeah,
what
probably.
his saving grace is. But let's.
I just have something to say. I'm so shocked to figure out Aaron Rodgers played baseball.
Wow. Guys, I've been watching the Jets so much. I
They've been
said
on the
Aaron
news.
Rodgers.
They've been on the news too much. That's why.
I mean, I can't believe
I
it.
went to the Jets-Bills game on Monday. I'm still in my Aaron Rodgers mode. Well, Aaron Judge.
I'm kidding. That was funny to me.
Does anyone have any Dodgers Mets score predictions for tonight?
You know what? I
Okay.
think it's gonna be a high-scoring game. I'm gonna say 7-6. It's gonna be close, but gotta give it to the Mets.
8-5 Mets. I agree. High scoring.
I think it's just go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I would say a good 8-7, 8-6.
Well, I'll go 4-2. I think the Dodgers take the 2-0 lead, then the Mets in the 8th inning have their magic. So that's normally what happens in these types of games. I mean, normally the Citi Field magic erupts, but big game of baseball tonight, Mets-Dodgers. Make sure to tune in to that one, and make sure to tune in to tomorrow's show as we have another set of crew to come in for tomorrow, and that will be the end of our show today, the end of the baseball show. Thank you guys for tuning in to 360 Sports, and have a good day.